Let's talk about it starting. All right, we're live.
Live, baby.
Hello,
Hey.
everyone,
Hello.
and welcome to the
Hello.
New Talk. This is another episode of a New Talk, and I am Elaine Janelle, and I have three lovely, awesome ladies here tonight with me who all did not find a robbery in their schedule to join us.
Oh, that was prophetic.
So, anyway, so I'm gonna introduce everybody. I have Deanna here, who is from Maryland. I have Miss Nadine here, who is from the great city of Chicago, Illinois, and I have Miss Tyshay here, who is from New York, New York. And so I'm going to let them all introduce themselves, tell more about themselves, and then we'll begin our discussion this evening.
All right.
And yeah, go ahead, Deanna.
Hi, guys. My name is Deanna Morrell. Like she said, I'm from Maryland. You said it right, too, with the right, like, look. Uh, Born and raised. I'm an event planner by trade. I grew up in church all my life. Took a few sabbaticals. That's what we're going to call it. It came back to Christ. So we back strong. So, yeah.
Sounds good, Nadine.
Hi, I'm Nadine Kellick. I am from Chicago, Illinois. I serve at Living the Resurrected Life Ministries in Chicago. I am a research administrator at a major university. I'm also a travel agent on the side.
Yes,
Um,
girl.
and I'm also
Sorry.
I co-lead a young women's group called the Oasis. And
Oh, wow.
so yeah, that's all.
Yes, Tashay.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tyshay Dennis, and as has already been stated, I'm from New York, New York, more so Harlem. Um, I recently graduated with my master's in social work, and I currently work in a high school as a counselor. Um, I got saved at 12. I was exposed to church at a young age, but I wasn't born and raised in a household where there were people going to church or attending. So I was the only one in my household saved at a very young age.
Gotcha. So, of course, our boy, even though we all had things in common, we're all generally African American. I'm sure there's some other mixtures in there. Um, but I wanted to bring people from different places all together to talk about one topic. And the topic tonight is called balance. And this topic tonight deals with being uptight and loose. So, balance has a broad span, real broad span is what I like to call it. Um, because I feel like a lot of people have take on this mindset that I want to live a balanced life. And the question I always like is, what does that look like? So for anybody who is a part of a new talk or who've watched our show before, probably about 6, 7, 8 months ago, I did a new talk episode called Balance. I'm tight and loose, but it was all guys. I was the only girl. And I just let the guys talk about what it meant to them, how they viewed it, how they seen it. And so now we're going to let the ladies talk about how we see it and how we view it. So my first question I'm going to ask you guys is real simple. It's just like, what what does it mean to live a balanced life, like for your personal lives? You can just take it as what does like how do you see it for yourself um, to live a balanced life? Anybody can go.
Oh, I think a balanced life to me is like an optimal distribution of like work, rest, um, recreation, um, like an optimal distribution of that where you're not doing too much of one of those things. And I
Mhm.
think it's different for everybody. I think it's based on just what you're called to do. So to me, it's like the optimal balance for you of, work, rest, and like recreation, and things like that.
All right. That's good. Anybody else have any?
Um, I guess just to add to that, usually when I think of balance, I think of like a balance beam. And so usually it has to do with weight. And so sometimes we can all have like four different things, such as social life, family, church, work. But for each of us, it can weigh differently. So for someone who may be a mom, spending that time with family may weigh more heavily than someone who's like, oh, okay, just to hang out with my cousins or
Right.
so on and so forth. Um, so I just think of it more so being steady. Sometimes on one side of the balance beam, you may have three things, but they may be lighter than that one other thing on the other side. So I just think that it's just more so like priority or what takes precedent in a person's life. Whether it's three things they're trying to balance, four things, five things, two things. But yeah.
All right. Deanna, do you have anything to add to it?
Yeah, sure. For me, balance, I think of like a balance beam or like a scale. But then two, I also think of like a circle of balance. And you have like all these things in this circle, and depending on how much the importance level, like it stretches out
Mhm.
your circle into like an oval or like a box or something. And the goal is to keep this perfect circle in place and be able to handle it all. So I'm not the best at balance by any means, but my idea of balance is being able to handle everything that's on my plate, both recreationally, professionally, my goals, just everything. But usually, my balance circle, not a circle. It's like a box. We got triangles. It's looking really disgusting right now.
I totally understand. Well, I have a question for you guys. Was there ever a time where somebody said to you, or that you personally felt that you weren't balanced? So, okay, so let me put this out there. I love how people like to say generally women can do multiple things at one time.
Hmm.
And it matters for me what those things are. Sometimes I can multitask, and other times I'm like, I can't, I don't understand. Or as some people say, I don't have the brain power to do it right now.
Right.
So, was there ever a time that you just felt in your life like been carrying multiple things? Because all of you are women who do multiple things. It's not like you just go to work and go home and sleep. Like that's a nice idea, but I know that we all don't do that. So
Right.
I would just love to hear. Was there ever a time when you just felt like you were unbalanced, or maybe somebody told you that they felt like you like everything wasn't quite equal in weight? And honestly, you can even share how that made you feel. Like we can go there.
Well, I know for me personally, most times than not, it's actually been the opposite. Where people say, "Well, I don't know how you could balance it all." Like, I tell them when I was in grad school, I was working full time, I was interning, so I had 13-hour days, Monday through Friday, and then Saturday I was in class in Long Island from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. And then Sunday I was in church, and I did that for a whole year from September to June. So it was a lot. But
Right.
a lot of times for other people, because they see from the outside, it's like, oh girl, you're just doing it. And I'm so proud. And it's like, then you have those friends or ministry or even your workload where it's heavy and it's just the expectation is there. And it's just like because you look like you have it all together or you have it balanced for the sake of the conversation, there's no like, well, how are you? Is there anything I can do to help you kind of thing?
You.
So I found that if I wasn't vocal or if I didn't allow myself to be vulnerable enough, then people would just assume that I had it balanced or I had it all figured out when a lot of times it did have an impact on my emotional, my spiritual, my physical, and in fact, it was very draining. So I found that I had to learn how to just cut people off and cut things off. And, even with the Bible saying certain things are for certain seasons, time to laugh, time to cry, time to mourn. And it was like, okay, there was times that I needed to separate myself from other people because we all can attest. Sometimes people can be draining. So
Mhm.
it's like, in order to make sure I
Always.
could balance and juggle everything. There were some times that I had to step away from certain things or certain people, and they weren't always so receptive of that, but it was challenging.
I think that is part of keeping balance, to be honest.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah.
Mhm. It is, and I'll say for me, I don't like stepping away from people. I'm an only child, so I like people until I don't.
That's real.
So I like serving people. I like helping people, serving people, being nice to people, being kind,
Mm-hmm.
being gentle. And then usually when it starts shutting down, it'd be like, oh girl, you better go find yourself a
Right.
space.
Go find a corner.
'Cause everybody about to get you. So, mhm. That's my balance. Do share more.
No, it's real,
It's true.
seriously.
Uh-huh.
It's real. Like it's
Hmm.
true.
But like you
Um,
said,
I'm just now learning balance. Uh I'm still on the struggle bus with balance. Usually when I find one thing to focus on, I just just stay there, almost like a OCD, almost where I'm just like, no, I gotta finish it, I gotta finish it, I gotta finish it, and then I'm trying to learn not to stress myself out and to do things, in small pieces, and it's okay to do things, bit by bit instead of trying to eat the whole elephant in one sitting.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something that I am starting to learn. I'm learning to pull back from some things, and some of that could be pride too, where you feel like you got to be the one to hold up things, and you got to be the one to do everything, and that's
Mm-hmm.
not true. You don't. So I'm learning that, like, I don't. Like, if nobody else, if it's a situation where nobody else wants to do it, yeah, and I might be tired of holding the thing up, you know,
Yeah.
sometimes I'll just fall back for a little bit and, try to reevaluate my position, and to see if I'm even supposed to be doing this, or even if the whole thing's even supposed to be done. So I'm learning to
that's
step back
true.
a lot lately and just try to find that balance and try to insert more rest and things like that into my schedule, and even schedule rest, you know.
Mm.
So I think that's important as far as trying to maintain balance, and because when it gets to be too much, I can get snippy, and I'll be like, you know what? I ain't doing nothing for nobody no more, no time, nowhere, no how. And so it don't need to be like that. So I'm learning to step back and take a breather. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So I can be pleasant. You want to be pleasant.
That's true.
that's
I
the
know
thing.
Deanna
Hmm.
about to say something.
Oh yeah, no, I was speaking to that fallback. So that's real. Sometimes you want to take on a lot of, you want to take it all on. So but
Hmm.
then you end up burning yourself out, and that
Right.
is living an unbalanced lifestyle. So creating that margin to say, I need to schedule some rest. I need to schedule some me time. I need to schedule just sitting in the room and staring at the wall or out the window, just so you can collect
Right.
your thoughts, and so that way when you rejuvenate yourself, you can get back up and tackle whatever it is that you have to tackle head on. But then another part of that too, and I think you touched on it a little bit, was I don't have to do it all. So making sure that you building a community around you of trusted people, because that's the thing too. I don't trust people with all my stuff. So if I can't do it, it's not getting done unless I trust you.
Right.
So,
Right.
and then
No,
you can
that's
still
very,
like,
that's
you
very
can
true.
do it, but I'm gonna check behind you just a little
Right.
bit.
Make
Which is
sure it's
still a
right.
little bit of double work, however. But
Mhm.
yeah, creating community and making sure you have people around you that can pick up where you can't pick up. And that's like, I did write that down. I was like, ooh, sometimes balance means learning that you don't have to be the one to do it all. Even though that's a hard concept, especially as a women, we feel like we can do it all. We've been trained to do it all. Like,
Hmm.
so
Yeah.
Do you think there could be our downfall sometimes? So I was thinking of something you said, Deanna, even related to what Tyshay and Nadine said. Like we are, because we're all people that try to do multiple things. Two things I feel like I feel at sometimes. I have a mentor to some people. But because I have that thing where it kind of drops off, where I be like, I don't want to be bothered with nobody. That can hinder my mentorship. And then the other part of it for me at times has been dealing with that not being, I'm not a micromanager, but then it's also like I want other people to be able to do what I have done or am doing, whether it's at the same level or better. And so sometimes I know personally for me, I'm like, what are you doing? So I hate micromanaging. So I'm gonna ask you what you're doing, you tell me what you're doing, and you do it. Or I'm gonna just be like, let me just do this. And
Yeah.
Kick them out.
I know that's not good. Like that's not good. Like
But do you at least show them before you just be like, what you doing? And if they just not doing it, you just,
yeah,
Lord.
yes.
Okay.
I think okay, so I can get one person. She's been on Renew Talk once. Fatima and I. Fatima was like a mentee to me. We're more sis than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
But Fatima was like a mentee to me when it came to worship, praise and worship. And so when I decided to move, I was just like, okay, I have to now trust that what I've shared, she can carry. Our styles may be different at times. We may not carry it the same way. You know what I mean? Like, but I had to remember, like, whatever way she goes, I got to be comfortable with it. Whatever way she flows, I need to be comfortable with it. And so, of course, after I left, I there was little tweaks that still fixed, but I was like, I think because I wasn't there, I couldn't
Get in there.
put my hand back on it. I had to. So
Go with
Tasha
the flow.
knows, yeah, right. And Tasha knows my friend Fatima because we are in the same church
Mm-hmm.
organization. But aside from that, like that was a place where I've learned that I was being a mentor to some point, and I needed to pull back for real growth to happen. And that was a balance mean because I was just sometimes I was like maybe I failed, maybe I did good in this, maybe I don't know. With me saying all that, because I felt like I said a whole lot here. With me saying all that, I mean carrying like is there are there specifics in your life where you're like I'm still trying to manage this, or like you said Deanna, where it's just like okay I want to help you a little bit because this is about to fall. Out. I'm just being honest. You can, I mean, you can share. Are there any specifics where you feel like in trying to carry and everything, you had to kind of step that moment out, like, because Tasha, you even talk about stepping away from people, and so how did that look like for you? That's what I want to say. How did that look like? What did that look like for you?
Who, me?
Yeah, with stepping away from somebody, or because it goes two ways. Because all right, I said a whole lot. Stepping away from somebody because maybe the balance what you're doing is not helping you in balance, or the aspect of like I mentioned mentorship, trying to carry something or trying to teach something. I've seen. I'll be honest. I've seen people be effective mentors, and I've seen people really like trash the idea because they couldn't really
Mhm.
carry, and they probably should have let it go. Sorry, there was a little bit of aggression.
It's still raw.
Well, I mean, for me, when I first got saved, I was very like zealous about really being, once lost but now found. That whole, it may sound like a cliche for people, but for me, really, like I said, I wasn't born and raised in a household. So when I got saved, I was going to tell everybody. And I was telling my family. I even told one of my high school teachers, like, if he doesn't accept Christ, he's going to hell. Like, he kicked me out of class. I was in the doctor's office telling the doctors, like, arguing with the man. Like, because I didn't know how to do it, but I just knew, okay, this Jesus I found, everybody needs to know him. And what? Like, he's really the only way. So I found like in the beginning, there were some people that were receptive and some people that weren't. And I found like I was just pouring out, pouring out, pouring out, and not pouring back in as much as I was pouring out. And so sometimes, like, it was draining. And I had to realize, like, because they're still blind, that's just like a natural blind person. If you're trying to describe what the trees look like and what the ocean, looks like, no matter how much you describe it or in what way, they're still not going to understand if they never had the eyesight. And so in that case, spiritually, like I had to realize, like, just like I know that I'm right, currently they believe and know and feel like they're right.
You're
And
right.
so I had to realize, okay, the way to do it and how to do it. And then also when it was like, okay, I said it and now let God do the rest. And so in the beginning, that's how I was. It was just really like just pouring out. As soon as I got something, I was pouring it out to someone else, whether they was receiving it or not. And especially again, I got saved at 12, so that could be very discouraging. You're going to your friends and your family, and naturally at that age, your peers and your social influences, like that's what has the most impact at that time. So it was like I was losing friends or people just didn't want to be bothered because it was like, all right, here she go with this Jesus stuff again. So I had to kind of learn the hard way. And then it became, as I got older, going into social work, naturally you're providing counseling and you're dealing with social emotional issues. I worked in foster care, I worked in the domestic violence shelter, I worked in group homes, working in ministry, with working with the youth. Naturally in social services, you're constantly just taking on other people's problems and issues. And it's like, speaking of balance, it was so important to have that physical, spiritual, emotional balance. Like I would find myself like I'm just consuming all of that in, and it's like, all right, I need to now get some of that back from God. He's truly my strength. The joy of the Lord is my strength. And I found like, because I gave this so much time, now when it came to other things, I'm just saying my prayers and not really talking and communing with God, or I'm just reading the scripture, but I'm not really studying it. And
Right.
so that was really a challenge for me. And I found like, even still to this day, like when my vertical relationship isn't right, a lot of times the horizontals are off. And I'm just like, I need to take a step back. And usually that's because I need to then spend more time with God. And
Mhm.
that's really what did it for me. It's like I kind of learned it the hard way, but it helped.
That's good. And I wouldn't even say it's the hard way, because I feel like a lot of us have to go that way.
Yeah, well, at the time it was hard. It wasn't like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm having one of those moments again. It was like, God, why? I don't understand. I don't get it. And especially because there was times like, like you have those certain friends or family members, when you get the call, they only call when they have an issue. So it's like, all right, should I pick this call up? And it's sometimes I'll have to be like, listen, I have to call him back. Or, if it's not a dire emergency, like I had to learn to filter, and that comes with, of course, discernment and just trying to figure out, look, you can't be there for everyone all of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So
The go-to. Would you guys like to share any? Anything? Deanna?
I'm trying to reach back in the recesses of my mind. No,
As I look back over my life,
right.
I
With the
cannot.
film.
um, I can't think of a necessarily a particular. No, that's not true. So I think I'm one of those friends or people where they call because I have a good listening ear. People pull on you a lot, so you want to be there for people. So just speaking about like emotional balance. So I think you said it well. Like you're pouring out, but you're not getting filled back up again. Oh, that's what you said. That really clicked with me when you said a lot of times when your vertical relationship with God isn't right, like everything else is going wrong. And that's like a complete telltale sign, like, oh, I need to get this together. Let me refocus.
right.
And a lot of times refocusing is just coming back into your own shell and like making sure that you plan time with God. You're not just reading that pop-up verse that come up on the Bible app and like, oh, I connected. Oh, thank you, Lord, for waking me up this morning. Which, that can become like a quick routine and you're not really connecting with him anymore because you're so focused on everything else that's going around and all the other relationships and extracurricular activities and even ministry work. You're doing all this and then, your relationship, you even hardly talk to God. So that spoke to me because sometimes I'm like, oh, I need to refocus. And refocusing is taking a step back and making sure that I spend that time with God. Because then if I don't, everything else is literally out of whack.
Right.
Yeah.
I think I've found myself like in ministry, like with the young women's ministry that I co-lead. At one point we were having meetups like every month. Always had to have some kind of material. You got to give something to the people. You can't just gather them for nothing. Say, oh, we just gonna talk today. So, we always had to have.
Right, you got to be prepared.
Yeah, we always got to be prepared, and sometimes the month will be busy for both me, my best friend, also co-lead. So sometimes it'll be a busy month for both of us, and we'll be like, girl, you got something? And I'll be like, girl, no, I ain't got nothing. And this is ministry, so you try to, you try not to put like a fake front, like I'll say no terrible guy, but here I'm gonna give y'all something, you know what I mean? And I found myself on that struggle bus, and I'm like, you know what, and I think we both found ourselves saying, let's just, you know, meet less, meet less. So now we just do quarterly things. And, when we have something that's impactful and it's, powerful and it's, and we have more balance that way. We're not trying to rush out something and pump out something for the people and all this other stuff. Because truly, like, only what you do for Christ will last. And only what you have that comes out of your relationship, from Christ, that's what really matters. It doesn't really matter if you have random topics that you just throwing out and, this and that. And so, for the both of our sakes, so that both of us have balance, we just decided, hey, let's just do it quarterly so that, we can achieve more of a balance and not just throw something out there every month and just step back and just, do it less often. But when we do gather, it's more, it's more powerful and it's more impactful. And this was our first year trying it and it worked. So, so we'll be continuing on that, on that plane as far as, when you do something, it's more impactful when it's coming from a place of balance and not from a place of being rushed and, stressed out because you're trying to perform and you forget about the actual, work that's being done, so that's my example.
What's with you saying that what's something that I know what's a hobby or something that kind of gathers you to help you kind of recenter yourself. Now I know Jesus helps us recenter.
I wasn't gonna say
So I'm not trying to be rude. I'm not trying to be rude to our Savior.
that.
Well, all of us recenter. But no, but what is something that you do to help you recenter yourself or refocus? Because it's real. It's times. It's some days where it's like everything happened perfectly. We're great. We're productive. And there are other days it's like, look here, God. Talk to you. So I mean, so do share.
I know for me, I mean, it depends. Sometimes I just want to sit down in the quiet and just be quiet, just like
Mm-hmm.
I'm over 30 now, so I just want to be quiet sometimes, just, want to be quiet. Outside of that, I like to
That's
cook.
real.
I like to cook. That's one way of, de-stressing for me. I like to go to painting parties, which you see behind me, some paintings and stuff. So I
Oh
like doing
yeah.
that. I like doing artsy stuff,
Right, and
arts
you
and
post them on
crafts.
Facebook.
Like,
I see.
so I like doing, any kind of artsy thing, creating things, um, you know, whatever comes to mind. Just things that like really, take my mind off of, trying to perform all the time, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Deanna?
I like to go for long walks on the beach. No, I'm joking. No, but I do. So I guess my hobbies would be like just taking some time away, going for a walk or something. I love to dance, so I'll go to like a Zumba class or Tyshay, which is like Zumba or crack, y'all. Let me know if y'all want to get put on
Ooh.
to that. Um,
I need to.
or like salsa dancing
Right,
or
I
something
did.
like that. Like I'm here for a good dance because then that way your mind's not thinking about nothing. Maybe the dance moves if it's choreographed. And I love to sing, so I'll go do karaoke. I got a karaoke app on my phone, y'all. And I just sit
Yes.
in my room and I'll be singing praise and worship song, R&B songs. I make up songs. Let me know if y'all want to follow me on the app. Um, and
I,
then
I love it.
finally, I'll just read sometimes, and not even like books about anything. It'll be fantasy books or like I don't know, science fiction books. Just something to get my mind off of reality and just go
Mm.
into somebody else's world. And I will go in like a binge of reading books back to back.
Wow.
So those are
I,
my go-tos.
I have to improve in the area.
You know what? I used to like to learn how to read myself, and then now at work, I read all day, literally. I either read or talk about what I just read all day. So now I don't want to see letters or words. I just want pictures. I just want to watch stupid
Yes,
reality
pictures.
shows. And yeah, I don't want to watch anything to make me think. I've been thinking all day, and it's just like I'm done.
I hear you, girl.
But that used to be my pastime reading, but not no
Not
more.
no
Not in
more.
this season, right? Not in this season. Not in this dispensation.
I can't. Tashay, what do you
So I love, love, love to travel. Um, However, when I was a grad school student, between time and money, that wasn't always, feasible for me to do.
right?
So if I couldn't travel, I'm naturally an introvert. So just being by myself, watching a good old movie. I love watching movies. Just doing that, like I'll be good. And now I try to do that at least once a week. And it's like I need some me time, self-care.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully I can travel more in the new year. That's my goal, to travel at least 4 times, for each season. I need to be out of here. But
Mhm.
yeah,
That's a
those are
good
the two
goal.
things that I like to do.
That's a good idea.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great idea. And I
Yeah,
said I
once
want
You
to
a
got to
improve
week
my
would
travel
be
books. I
anyway.
have
great.
a stack of
You already
different
on the
books,
Yes,
and
flow.
they're
yes.
not
Call me,
even big
call
books.
call me.
That I'm a,
I stepped my travel game. I'm stepping my travel game up for 2019. I
Yes.
didn't travel as
Yes,
much
we
as
here for it.
this year.
All flights 2019. Right.
Right. Yes, yes, yes. So call me, call me.
where. So where you trying to go?
So
Who, me? Oh.
who?
Where are you trying? Where are some places you're trying to go? I'm gonna go back to the balance, but where are some places? This is part of it.
Well,
Mhm.
I'm trying to go to
Both
Thailand in
both of you,
February.
Nadine
Yes,
and
Thailand.
Tashay.
On my bucket list.
Deanna travels a lot.
Yeah,
It's all good.
February.
One day I'll be at that level.
Yeah. Well, February I'm
No, but
trying to go
where's
to
some places that
Thailand.
you have in mind? I think it froze on me. I got a few viewers.
Okay.
All right. Let's see what's going on here.
I can hear you.
Can you see me? It froze on me. Can you guys see me?
Yeah,
I
we
can
can
hear
Now
see
we
you.
you.
can.
Okay. So the last question I said, but what are some places that you would like to visit that you haven't been to? Um,
Oh, so I'm trying to go to Thailand.
oh, this thing popping up. Hold on 1 minute, Tasha. Hold on, this
Huh?
thing. Hold on 1 minute. It's acting crazy. It's acting crazy. All right. I just need to make sure everybody, when people moving, then I know it's moving. All right, Tasha, who you want to? I'm sorry. Go ahead. You were talking.
Oh, I was saying that the next place I'm trying to travel to is Thailand.
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah. So I'm trying to go in February. Then I'm trying to go somewhere else in April. You know.
Wow. That's good. That's good. How about you, Nadine?
For my birthday in February, I'm going to on a cruise to Cuba.
Yes,
Um,
girl.
and then um, I'm just in the thinking stages. I wanted to go to the UK this summer and try to sneak in Paris and Amsterdam. Just hop on a train and
Hmm.
go to those places. And then I wanted to go back to Canada. So I've never been to Toronto or
Beautiful.
um,
You have to. I went this
yeah,
summer. It
I
was
really want to
amazing.
go either there or Montreal this year.
Yes.
Um, because I haven't been since I was a little girl and I barely remember. All I remember is stairs. And so I was like, let me go back because I don't remember nothing about that place. So that's about it. That's about
Yes.
it.
Deanna, you have any places on your list?
Nothing personal, but I do want to go to Thailand. Side note,
Mm.
there's a friend of mine, a young black girl, who opened up a coffee shop in Thailand.
Oh,
So
Oh
I
wow.
will share your
God, yes.
information with her. It's
Okay.
not in one of the major cities, though. It's in one of the rural areas. But if you get a chance
Okay.
to go, it's,
Wow.
That's
That's
banging.
That's
amazing.
cool.
I know.
That is
And her
cool.
coffee is good too. So if y'all want to order some coffee over to the States, I'll
Uh-huh.
send y'all
I
her information.
personally don't drink coffee, but honestly, I never had it. So,
I mean, Thailand could be
Really?
your first place to try it.
yeah, I'm
Right.
thinking.
You're
That's
right.
true.
I'm an addict, so just get in
Okay.
the IV drip and let's go. Let's
Yeah.
go.
That is funny. No, that's banging. So the reason why I ventured off of there because I balance and no balance. Every question is not going to be literal, but it's more so because I think people need to know that like do whatever you need to do to keep your peace.
Yeah.
And some people feel bad when they can't get their moment of peace. Do whatever you need to do to keep your peace. Me in the car, I'm a me in the car person. I'll be in the car, no car on, no music on, listening to
Yes.
the sound of the car. I love me in the car, and then I'll be in the car with me in the car. Blast the music. I love me in
Uh-huh.
the car. I say, Elaine, do you have an address? Nope, it's just the car. It's the car. I really do enjoy being in there sometimes, and it's not even like everything else is chaotic. It's just something I find that's real comforting there. So that's
Okay.
and I music's my other spot. So I could do music. I could read my Bible, listen to my Bible. It could do everything I needed to do in the car.
Mhm.
So, but y'all trips are phenomenal. I do want to go to Canada, and the reason why I also am glad that y'all mentioned other places. I have nothing against Caribbeans. I'm glad you mentioned Cuba. I have nothing against Caribbeans, but I think a lot of times people get really settled with just going to the Caribbeans because it's close. I'm like,
Right.
start here and then venture off if you can.
Right.
Why
Yeah.
not?
Right.
Why not? I'm not,
Right.
there's nothing
Right.
wrong with it, but why not? So
Right.
yeah, I'm here for it.
Mhm.
I'm here for all of it. With me saying that, has there ever been a time? Now this is contrary to what we were talking about. We talking about relaxation, where you felt like you compromised. Okay, the art of balance, I feel like, is also being who you are at all times. Um, and I think all of us, what I mean by that is not saying I'm the same person every exact place I go, but yeah, you just get different pieces of me. Was there ever a time where you felt like you were compromised? where the ethnic of who you are, the culture of who you are, the essence, that's the word I should be using, of who you are was compromised because of balance or because of imbalance or because of people.
Absolutely. Um, I was in a relationship a couple of years ago. Ooh, a couple of years ago. That sounds good to say, y'all.
Only a
And
couple years ago.
like a year and a half ago, we almost on that couple, yes. But ooh, my life was so unbalanced. If it wasn't about this man, it wasn't about anything. And to the point, I lost the essence of who I was. I wasn't connected to church. I wasn't connected to my family. I wasn't connected to my friends. I had no hobbies. Like, ooh, it was a toxic relationship. Looking back on it now, so absolutely, and I think relationships sometimes that'll make you the most unbalanced. Sometimes when you think you're in love or when you're caring for somebody, not even just a romantic relationship, but family relationships as well, and friends. You put a lot of people before yourself, and you lose who you are because you're trying to either please somebody or you're trying to keep somebody or, et cetera, et cetera.
That's good. I'm glad you shared it with us.
Yeah, no, seriously.
No, I'm serious. Anybody else? I know because sometimes people even don't even know family can also be a distraction to like being the center of the greater essence of who you really are. Um, and I'm not trying to be super deep, but sometimes I go there. So, uh, I mean, do share if you ever felt like even friendship or anything else that caused you to compromise, or feel like that. Okay, I'm not where I know I should be, or I'm not living my best life, as they say.
Yes, as they say.
Um, I think for me personally, I would have to say myself. I grew up in a family where it was a struggle. Um, can you ladies hear me?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Okay. I grew up in a family where it was a struggle. We were on a fixed income, welfare. And I just remember thinking since I was a little girl, like, when I get older, I'm going to make sure I go to school so I can have a good job, be successful, that whole notion. And I think for me, because I'm so, I don't know the word for it, but I like to be like hands on all in. And I've always been one to live by my planner and kind of like try to map out my life and what's the next steps and what it's supposed to look like and so on and so forth. And anytime it detoured from what I thought was best or what I wanted, like it just did something to me
Wow.
emotionally, physically, spiritually. And honestly, like currently I'm kind of in that state even now because for me it was like I graduated, I have my master's and I still work in the same school that I was working in when I was in grad school, and I still have the same position. And so for me it was like, okay, I thought I would have a different position by now, and furthermore, have a raise. And so because it didn't happen just yet, and in my timing, I'm kind of in this place where it's like, okay, God, I did all of that for what? And I'm just in this unbalanced space. And so, naturally you think of the scriptures. I even think on my testimony and how God made a way in the past. But then, also in the here and now is like, for some people, they talk about since I was a little girl, I dreamed of, getting married and having a wedding dress. And honestly, for me, that wasn't me. My friends always called me like the Joan from Girlfriends, or just like the person that was so caught up in their career and, that kind of thing. And that's what I naturally wanted since I was a little girl. So to feel like, I'm kind of there, but not there. I just think I'm like my biggest critic. And even now people say, well, Tyshay, you made it. You got your master's. And yes, I was the first one in my immediate family, the only one, in fact, but it's still like, okay, it's not good enough for me. And so I think for me, it's just myself. So,
Hmm. That's good. That's good. And the reason I say that's good is because I think that being so uptight, like we have that, it should go like this. The picture in our head. Uh, And
And they say you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans, because it's like,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
but I had to come to the conclusion, like, all right, guys, so you just gonna do this, and you really don't care about my feelings.
Be straight beefing with God though.
Right. Care about me.
But see, so the reason I can say that is because I've dealt with depression, I've dealt with all kinds of things. And as a child, I was actually suicidal. So I like these are little things that people don't know 2 cents about me, but I realized like I was a perfectionist. I didn't realize that's part of what my problem was. I was a perfectionist as a child, and so when I felt like I could not reach that level, I would lose it, and it would throw me off. And career was a big thing for me. It still is, to be honest. It's a big thing for me. I was like, I can do so many different things, but I still can't find my niche.
mhm.
And so it is very much so a God thing. It really for me, it's a God thing. It's really seeking God and being navigating in His way, because I was like, clearly this is not gonna work for me, and I'm going to drive myself crazy, and probably
Yes.
some other people with me. But so that balance of be able to still be yourself, but still trying to obtain and grow is that's real. That's real. And I can't speak for other people, but I can always tell my story. That is something I struggled with since college. I was like, so I did all this for what?
Mhm.
Give me you want my loan money? Give me the money back.
I want a refund.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, my diploma. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Can I trade it
So
in for a car? Yeah.
so that I know that's part of my story. Nadine, you can share if you have anything.
To piggyback, for me, ever since I like graduated college, career has been a big thing for me. And so, earlier, when I first got out of school, I was always trying to be this person that I wasn't, but it was this person that I thought I should be. And basically, it was just like comparison. And, to this day, I still have to fight that comparison. And, it's just, in the past, I say couple of years. When you turn 30, something just click. And you like, you know what? I'm going to be myself. I don't care what you know. But it's like, I did struggle with that a lot, just comparing my life to other people. And when you do that, you
Mhm.
can't be your best self. You was talking earlier about that. And, it's not until, the past couple of years when I really started appreciating what I can bring and knowing that, where I am now is not where I'm going to be forever,
Right.
and
Mhm.
not just taking a plan B, because, what I'm doing now is a plan B, and, I'm taking steps now toward, getting back to plan A. But, it's that whole comparison thing that has stopped me from being my best self, because you just, and in college they tell you this is how you're supposed to be, this is what you're supposed to do. If you don't do this, you're not going to be successful, and you're not going to thrive in life and things like that. And God has taught me along the way that that's not for everybody, and that's truly not for me. I can truly be who God has called me to be and be successful at the same time. But it took a long time to get to that balance, and I'm still working on that balance,
Mhm.
Um, but now I got more of a handle on it,
Yeah,
than before. Yeah.
it's true. It's true. That transition, I will say. I think I was really hard on myself, and I wanted to obtain some stuff
Me
by the
too.
time I was in my 20s. I was like, I'm gonna conquer
Uh-huh.
the world.
Right,
Mhm.
right.
Yes, I just knew.
Right.
I'm like,
You
girl,
just
you
supposed to
wake
get a
up.
house out of college or something. Yes. Something.
Who lied?
No, it's true. And the reality hit real good. It
Right. So
real
good.
good. Real good. So, I know we started a little bit after it's 9 o'clock now. We started a little bit after 8. But if you have any other thoughts you want to just share about balance, anything that you would like to share about it, do so. Um, yes.
Yeah, I just want to speak to one final piece that Nadine said about the comparison game. Yo, that comparison trap will get you every time. Like,
Caught up.
ooh, like
Yeah.
I've been depressed. I done cried. I done been like, God, well, why I'm not where this person is, or I feel like you placed this in me.
Mhm.
Why am I not where she is or he is? And then you get caught up in not being your authentic self, and so now you're adding things onto your plate that you were never meant to handle.
Yes.
Um, and so constantly taking inventory of like, where's my mental? Am I where I'm going based on where God is trying to send me, or is where I'm going based off of where I see other people going?
Mm.
And it's
Mm,
like a
that's good.
constant like check
That's
for
good.
me because I'm in the process of girl, this process, it's a process. Oh Lord. So I'm in the process of my life. I'm 31. Like I'm in my 30s for real, y'all. Um
You in there. You in
I'm
there.
in there like that first year. It was like 31 was like, oh nah, it's real.
Yeah.
And I'm fortunate to have a career where, or work in my career field, what I went to school for, which
Mhm.
is fantastic. I was striving, I was grinding, I was doing all this. I got everything I wanted, everything I thought I wanted, and everything that I felt like all my other peers who went to school for what I went to, they wanted. I felt like, oh yeah, now, oh yes, blah blah blah. I'm traveling, I'm doing this, I'm doing that.
Right.
Um, but there was still a part of me that was just like, "Ooh, this is not fulfilling. This is not fulfilling." And so that one part about being authentic to yourself and not trying to be on somebody else's path, God's like, "You thought you wanted this. I gave you everything you said you wanted. Do you still want it?" So
Ooh, that's
now I'm trying to live an authentic life and trying to go where God is calling me to go, without putting a limit of other people's dreams on where He's calling me to be. So, and we got to be careful with that comparison because that we put on unnecessary depression, unnecessary uh, stress,
mm-hmm.
jobs we were never meant to have, like
Yes.
just because we want what we think the next person has. So
Yeah.
that's a good piece. And I don't think I'm a perfectionist, but I do like things to go the way that I plan them to go. I don't know what you call that, but
Description. That
Yeah.
was a
I
nice
mean,
one. I'm
yeah,
gonna use
I
that one.
agree with that part.
just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, I think life really does. It's God teaches you. I always say life teaches you, but He allows. I think He allows life to teach us. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I
Hmm.
think for me, my takeaway is what I had to do. I had to actually, again, because I'm so into my planner and all of that other stuff, I had to actually get index cards and write down scriptures that pertain to like anxiety or being anxious and stuff like that. And of course, one of the most, I guess, cited ones that I hear often is, Matthew 6:33. But seek ye first the kingdom of God and all his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you.
Yeah.
And I guess it goes back to what you were saying sometimes when we are doing what we wanted to do in the natural, but then you find that's not even fulfilling. And I think someone mentioned it even earlier, only what we do for Christ will last. And I think for me,
Yeah.
it's like if I have that balance vertically, it's like everything else will fall into place. And, even with that, part of my prayer is always, God, I want the desires of my heart to match your will for my life. If I'm
Hmm.
desiring this,
Hmm.
that I want it to, fit into what you have for me. And so, even in that same scripture, the following verse, and it even tells us, therefore, again, do not be anxious about tomorrow, for tomorrow will be anxious for itself. Like, tomorrow got enough to worry about. Just in today, just within an hour, is enough that we can worry about and think about. So, sometimes it takes a conscious reminder for me to be like, all right, stop, breathe. And I'll have to quote a few scriptures. Jeremiah 29:11. And, sometimes it takes that because I can be so caught up with everything else. And,
Mhm.
especially when the devil starts to feed us certain things or comparing other people or saying
Right.
what he said to us about college. Like, look, you took out all those loans, you did all of that, and what? For what? So, it's like, we do need to, always have on the whole armor of God and really like just rebuke and speak those things out loud sometimes. And that's what I had to learn to do because I was always one to, pray internal. And I had to realize, yeah, there's certain things that should be kept between me and God, but there's other
I
things
think
I
it's
need to
frozen.
say out loud. I need to, denounce and pronounce out loud.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
That's good.
That's good. Nadine?
Yes. I think one good takeaway is that you only got one life. It's not like we're gonna come back as puppies or something in a rich family or something like that. You're not coming back again. It's you got one life, and it would behoove you to just focus on what God is placed in your plate to do, to just take on his burden for your life and not try to take on burdens that that are not yours because of comparison or because of expectations that are placed on you,
Mhm.
but to just let God shepherd you,
yeah,
and
That's
take
good.
on his burden and let him lead you to times of rest and let him lead you to times where you need to be productive and lead you in times even of recreation, and just let him lead you instead of you spinning and being anxious and trying to figure it out. A lot of
hmm
times God will just lead you, and his yoke is easy, his burden is light, and
yes,
and ours are not easy and they're heavy, and we get frustrated and depressed and all this stuff.
Mhm.
So if we could just focus on the main thing, and the main thing, for us is whatever God has placed on us to do and called us to do. And if we just focus on that and let Him lead us in everything, I think we'll be able to learn how to be more balanced in life.
Mhm. That's true. I agree. Um, and I encourage anybody who's watching. We have about 9 people watching on YouTube, and I'm actually going. I didn't show y'all this. I've been going live on Instagram.
oh my gosh.
So,
I didn't know I was on the
Yeah.
gram.
Great.
so now I try to go. I'm trying to multitask. So I literally was holding this like for almost 45 minutes.
You had
I'm
that
like, because I really don't
incognito.
see anything in your hand.
Yeah, I've been trying to maneuver. But I'm glad for those who are listening, those who are checking out the show or the podcast, whatever you want to say. That y'all all gave encouraging words, and not only just encouraging words, but Bible that will help us just to continue to live better lives and to better ourselves. And that's where I'm at. I may not be able to be everything to all people. Paul's good at that. I'm sometimes like, what? But I really want to be the best Elaine what he's created me to be. I want to live in that, and as I live in that, it's reminding yourself of the word of the Lord. So with all of this being said tonight, I just want to tell y'all thank you for being on the show, for
Thank you
sharing,
for having us.
giving
Thank you for having us.
yes, for telling us where you want to go next. Because I'm all about traveling, and just enjoying life and what God has
Hmm.
created. Like, why not?
Right.
No limits. No
Yes, let's
limits.
go,
No
sis.
Like
Right.
seriously, let's go. February.
Let's all
Thailand.
go. Let's
I
all
got
take
some
trips
leave.
together.
What's popping?
I'm about to
Right.
tell you guys, and that's in Thailand. I'm with it.
We got the travel
I'm totally
agent
with
with a
it.
discount.
Yes.
Yes. But thank you for and even for sharing parts of your lives. All of you took a moment to share parts of your lives of something that you do, ministry, or just something that you went through, and the growth that it shows. People need. That's why this show was for. This show was specifically for that. It's not just for good discussion or for entertainment. But it's more shows so that people can like people are real. People go through stuff and people overcome. And that's at the end of the day, all that matters. No matter what you know about my past, just know I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm
Talk about
here.
it.
So, so I always close my shout in prayer. And let me say this. I want to say this, and I'm gonna shut up. So on when I do it on SoundCloud, everybody that's watching, I edit it because I talk too much. I be editing
You
myself.
didn't talk a lot here.
You better keep your word.
Listen, I just because um, I I've known about everybody, but like Nadine, I met Nadine on nothing but gospel.
Right.
Message board
That
in
is more.
2003. 2004. Hey yo, that board was live. And so
It
all
was.
it was because Facebook was just starting out. It was the
Yes.
trashy Facebook. It wasn't that good.
Yes.
Right.
Only the college
It wasn't that good at all. Yes, only the college students, and it didn't have all the stuff. MySpace was hitting.
Yo,
But
my face was
Right.
popping at this time.
Right. It was.
You get
and
on
Everyone thought
the
it would go
top 10
away.
list, you know?
Okay, yes.
so we met on the gospel message board and we clicked because we was 84 babies. And I just
Right.
did not I never met her. I never met Nadine until
Right.
now.
Right. Right.
But
We
you've
only
been
met each other's
consistent.
pictures. That's it.
Yes. But you've been consistent. Just like if I could ever say like what's the word that people use for people that's not their real friend?
Acquaintance?
Acquaintance.
Yes.
I'm sorry that definition comes off hard, but it's real. So
Right.
like we went from being acquaintances to like, oh, this girl's real cool. And I was like, I'm
Right.
happy. Yeah. And that's their
Right.
friendship has built up over the years, just over simple things. And so I
Right.
don't take much. So people make it hard. I feel like people make it hard. But I just want to say
Right.
thank you. And Deanna, I met her through my friend Miss Deneen, which is her mom. I'm a shout out to Deneen.
Aw.
Deanna showed up at my birthday party last year, and I said, "Baby, this is a real one." You on my shoulder? How you doing? So I'm really appreciative of all y'all being a part and just showing love and sharing character and sharing godly wisdom. Anybody want to pray us out?
I'll pray.
Okay.
All right. Lord, we thank you for this day. We thank you for allowing us to come together and have a genuine, open, and honest conversation about balance and what that looks like, not just in life in general, but in life as a Christian, God. And we pray that you allow for this information and idea sharing to impact us all, impact all those who are listening, God, so that they can go forth in their everyday lives, God, and begin to sort out and begin to balance and put you first, God, and seek you first, Lord, so that way we're not carrying on any other burdens or any other assignments from other people through comparison, God, but truly get to work and do what it is that you have placed us on this earth to do, God. I ask that your angels will be camped around about each and every one listening, God. Anyone who's hurting right now, Lord, anybody who has any prayer requests, God, we lift that up to you now.
Yes,
Search
God.
their hearts, Lord, and provide a way that they may feel like there is no way for. We thank you, we praise you, we honor you, and we love you, Lord. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.